Smart Means Business does continue. I'm Jorram Paul Ssonko here. And at this particular moment in time, we do head into our interview today in regarding to what is going to, when it comes to branding in business. In most cases, if you talk to a number of business owners in Uganda, they will actually tell you by opening up a brand, it's like you're marketing something. But those are some of the questions that we're leaving up to the viewers out there. And also we have some expert analysts in the studio today to actually differentiate for us what is between branding, marketing, and also any other things that are attached to branding, and how do you actually safeguard your brand? How do you maintain a brand? How do you start up a brand that is there to stay for quite some time? Now in studio today, I'm not alone. I'm with two gentlemen who've actually been in business for quite some time, and we're going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, then we can actually proceed with this interview. Good morning.
Good morning, Ssonko. My name is Tim. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Jibo. And it's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.
All right, the pleasure is ours to host you today.
And good morning, everyone, dear viewers. My name is Yasin Sevanukambo. I'm the Head of Sales and Marketing at Jibco Uganda Limited. All right, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, now I want to start with you, Mr. Tim, when it comes to branding. What is the importance of your brand to your business?
So let me start by maybe introducing Jibo to you. Jibo is a social enterprise, right? We are in business since 2012 and working in 7 countries of East and Southern Africa. So that's the entire East African bloc: Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, plus Zambia and parts of the Congo. Most people know Jibo for our water and for our special tap bottle, right? I hope everyone in Kampala has seen it somewhere, either at their homes or at the cage or at the tuk-tuks, exactly. It's a special bottle that allows you to dispense water without having an expensive water dispenser. However, what is really special about Jibo is actually our business model. We are not a water company as such, we are a social franchising company. So that means our mission is actually to capitalize and prepare social entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, to serve their community with with life-saving goods like safe drinking water or clean cooking gas, or we have fortified porridge in some markets. So that's what Jibo is doing. So by now we have around about 120 franchises across the different markets. That means 120 business owners who all run their own production facility, their own sales and distribution business, and they all serve their communities. All of them pay us a fee, right? That's the heart of franchising. You equip someone, and in return you get a fee, franchising fee or royalty fee. So why do people pay us this fee? Because they want to be part of our brand.
Jibo brand. Because onto that one exactly, what kind of brand is Jibo? If you're to give the viewer a clear view of what Jibo is.
So I think there are different kind of brands, right? So for us, ourselves, we see ourselves as a challenger brand. So what means challenger brand? Does it mean you have to be a startup? No. Does it mean you have to be running on a low budget? No. But it means you are questioning the status quo, right? Basically, as a challenger brand, you're trying to not challenge your competition, but you're trying to challenge a status quo that is existent somewhere. For example, if you think about drinking water, the two main practices are either boiling or drinking single-use plastic bottled water, right? Exactly. So now, when you think about buying a bottle of Renzori, or any other brand, any brand that is packaged in a conventional way, right? Think about what happened. Someone took oil from Lake Albert, shipped it with a pipeline all the way to Dar es Salaam, actually, shipped it to China, produced preforms, shipped it back to blow bottles over here in Uganda to then fill a drip of water inside.
All right. Now let me bring in Mr. Mbwasha.
Okay.
I want to understand, what is branding in your own perspective, and what is its importance
to the brand,
to the business?
Thank you, Ssonko, for the wonderful questions. First of all, I want to appreciate our dear viewers for taking the time into this segment. So branding is a very, very, very key key pillar in terms of your perspective. So branding is how you present yourself to your target core or ideal customer you're looking out for. So how you brand yourself is how the person is going to emotionally connect with you, and when they recall about whatever product we're talking about water. So when you say water, the recall that drives it is the branding activity that you've done has actually instilled the consumer's mind. Yes. And then the level of importance, because branding, it's first of all, it's your identity.
It shows who you are.
No, branding becomes your national ID.
Yeah, exactly.
And then two, branding is a route for you to communicate who you are. And of course, like how Tim has said, we're a challenger brand. So how we brand ourselves is what defines us. And then two, for growth, brands grow because they're being branded in different areas, in different strategy, different tactics. So all those coupled together, you drive the branding agenda for the product.
For the consumer. Meanwhile, Tim, I come back to you. You mentioned about a challenging brand. Look at a situation where most of the people actually know you for Jibu Water. Now take us into those initiatives that you've actually opened up to yourself, because by mentioning about being a challenge brand, it means you're ready for the challenges that come in that business aspect of it. So if you want to mention about any other ventures that Jibu as a brand has actually tapped into, to let the viewer know that clearly.
Yeah, I mean, for us as a challenger brand, I mean, the main thing that we do is like we want to change the way sort of water is packaged and the amount of waste that is being produced, the amount of impact on the planet that is sort of being made whenever someone drinks water. So what do we do different? Number one, our packaging. That's the main aspect. Regardless of how we market our products, if we go on TV, if we go on radio, if we go on billboards or do none of this, our brand will always stay for being different in terms of how do we package. And what does the consumer do? When you drink 20 liters of water, you don't produce waste. Okay. You know, when you buy a Jibu bottle, you don't produce waste. So this is our key venture, which we have developed over time. We are producing almost everything that we have in East Africa, Uganda, Kenya, different countries, to make sure like we are getting, we are building a network of suppliers and consumers that is like fully local and fully sustainable, to just avoid long transportation routes and importation.
If I have to also mention about branding and how you've managed to maintain this brand as Jibu. How long have you been in Uganda?
We've been in Uganda since 2015.
2015, so closely this is like
6 years.
6 to 7 years. In business, how have you found the market? Because keeping brands in Uganda is quite a difficult situation. How have you found the market and how challenging has it been?
It is tricky, of course. I mean, there's a lot of competition on the drinking water side. There are many brands that open up almost every year. There are new competitors who come in. So you have to differentiate yourselves, right? You cannot just say, okay, company A puts up a billboard, so let me put up a bigger billboard, right? Because we don't have the funds, we don't have the resources to sort of get down this route. But for us, the tactics that we use is through our decentralized network. We know our customers. We have a franchisee in Gaba who runs Jibu Gaba, and he knows every customer in Gaba. We have a franchisee in Ntinda who would probably be the one supplying here, who runs Jibu Ntinda and who knows all of his customers. So for us as a brand, that's our identity. We are localized. We are the two of us are working for the headquarters, but we are not the ones selling water. The ones selling water are our franchisees, and they know everyone. They know the retailers. They know everyone by name.
Know the consumers.
They know the consumers. They call them mama, and
yes, I know all those local names. Now that brings me to Mr. Mboa to actually give me someone who want to know what is the difference between branding and marketing. on that basis. I believe you're part of the sales and stuff. So what is the difference between marketing and branding in terms of business?
Okay, thank you, Paul Ssonko. One is, there's a thin line between the two for starters, because the two are in unison, they move in the same direction. But just to take you back onto the model, our model is you own your business. So which means each location, Yasin is buying from Ssonko.
Okay.
So which means we are in touch. That is why we're able to remain sustainable, because you want to buy from your usual customer. You sell to because you have trusted them. The relationship. So it means the brand can thrive. So the difference between the two, one is marketing is there are different tactics. You do very many different tactics: trade marketing, you do consumer marketing, you do consumer touch points, you do visibility, you do BTL, ATL. So that's all marketing. But branding is the identity, the first thing. So branding can be part of marketing, but marketing can be part of. So so it's mainly about marketing is about the different processes, the different strategies you come up with for your brand to remain relevant in the market.
Okay.
For branding, it is your identity.
It's simply when you call Ssonko, that is your brand.
That is your brand song. So how you relate with us?
Is how you market yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
How you relate with us?
Yeah.
How you market
So simply branding is actually to help you stay in the business.
So let me give you an example. Let's say the young Ssonko is done with campus and you want to get married, right?
Yes.
So there's a brand, there's a logo, and there's marketing. The way who you are, that is your brand. How you dress, how you behave, if you're honest, if you are friendly, how you make your money, how you spend your money, that's you. It's your identity, it's your brand. Now, you want to get married, right? So you need some marketing tactics. So now we talk about what do you do? Do you go to a book club, or do you go to a bar, or do you go to a cinema to market your brand, to understand where do I find the consumers exactly? So as marketing, you're looking for potentials, you're looking for sales, but marketing cannot change your brand. It can just give you a platform to present your brand. And now lastly, the logo. Many people confuse it with the logo, but the logo is just one thing. The logo is just your face. You can have a pretty face or a not so pretty face, but you can still have a great brand. Exactly, and it can change.
If you do have beards, sometimes you will go and trim them off. So and it kind of changes in a way. We've seen branding logos changing with time to time.
Exactly. Okay. But the brand remains the same, unless the company really decides to rebrand. But that means it's more than just changing the logo. It's changing everything, right? I think one big bank is currently trying to do it in Uganda, right? And they're changing the communication, the locations they're in, the staff, the way the staff dresses, everything. That is rebranding.
All right. Now, to all the business owners in Uganda, there's clearly you can easily differentiate between these two things. I did not even mention about the logos, but you can see that it comes in here. So if I don't have a business entity as you, the brand is what your business is about. It is you yourself. Before you start up the business, you already have the idea in the mind. And the idea, I think, is what is going to drive your brand as well.
Sure.
So now let's talk about if the water business now in terms of branding. People already coming up, each and every year someone comes up with a new brand of water. And what is so special about, coming up with a brand that, in most cases when people are branding something, you look at a name that is going to keep people on board, your customers around you. When someone comes out and says Jibu, and immediately what comes into the mind of someone is, oh, Jibu, these people sell water. So what does any business entity have to consider, first of all, to maintain this brand, to be on top there?
Oh, can I?
Yeah, correct.
Sure. One is thanks for the question, Ssonko. But as a brand, you need to remain relevant in the consumer's mind. So the first key things that you need first of all do is identify your target audience. So if you identify your target audience, so that actually every time they hear Jibu, they know this product is speaking to me. Take an example, our key audience is household resellers. So when we're segmenting all our support, our initiatives, we drive them towards that angle. So it means to recall is whenever I recall my brand, I can easily get. That's why you see you can find a Jibu reseller as near as your homestead. So that's the total recall we look out for, because our target audience is a consumer. So you don't want a consumer who will look for water 1,000 kilometers. They don't want that. They want convenience. That's the first thing. And then two, your brand strategy, you look at it very key in terms of your brand development, because the brand also has a journey. So at what journey are you at, and what are you willing to allow for the journey, for the process, for the brand to go through? I think, Tim, you can dive in one or two of them.
Yeah, I think especially for business owners in Uganda that might be looking at us right now, is to say you have to understand how do you want to make yourself special? I mean, water is water. Water is life. Everyone drinks water. If Jibu is there or not, you will drink water. 2 liters a day, 3 liters a day, there's nothing. So the question is now, as a company, you know, how do you identify yourself? Do you want to stand for convenience? Do you want to stand for safety? Do you want to stand for taste? You know, which is difficult in water, but you can still try. Or do you want to maybe be posh and fancy and try to say, okay, I want to be the most expensive water in town that has only been drunk, you know, in expensive hotels. So once you have your identity, you always have to stick to it. For us at Jibu, we want to be convenient. We want people to have the convenience of drinking water without boiling, without, you know, carrying a lot of water. The tuk-tuk comes to your house, drops a 20-liter bottle, and you're sorted for a week. That is what we want to sell. So our branding, our marketing is all around this. We are addressing households. We try to make sure we are servicing with speed. We try to make sure there are many numbers that customers can reach us with. And that's what every business owner has to understand for himself. What do you want to stand for? And you always must be like loyal to it yourself. Even if competition is tough, even if sales drops, even if COVID comes in and your business model doesn't work for a time, once you stop being loyal to your identity, you even create bigger problems.
Let's even look let's look at the strategies now, Mr. Mboa. You know, when he mentioned about when COVID comes in, now imagine another crisis comes in. So we're looking at a strategy of maintaining this brand now. Which strategies, or when you're starting up the brand, because now for you've been in the business, what are the key strategies that you look at and you say, if I'm to set up my brand, I'm going to base on this in a different field, and if I'm starting up my brand, I'm aiming at this market. So which strategies do you lay on board before that?
So thank you very much, Ssonko. First of all, in terms of strategy development, is you need to do what they call a situation analysis. That's the first thing. That brands come and die because of one thing, is you fail to provide a solution to a problem. Because what's the most key thing is, as you're developing the brand, is understand what solution are you bringing onto the onto the table. So to our brand Jibu, I'll be selfish. Einstein says at times you have to be selfish.
You have to be selfish. No, I'm not going to. It is all about me.
Yeah, it's all about me for that moment. So for our case, is our solution, we're providing you conveniency, and of course we're giving you safe drinking water. Forget the hassle of you boil the water, it cools down, the germs go back into the water. So the first thing is to understand the market you're going to deal with, and then two is what solution are you providing to the consumer, because consumers care about one thing, it is solution. What solution are you giving me? Now, if that solution is good, works for me, then I'll consider your brand. And then two is you need to consider as a person, as an investor, is what is your core objective. Because all organizations have a core objective. Yes, I mean, there might be a solution you're providing, but what is the core objective? As you, the person who's saying, I have my $1 million I want to invest.
In water business.
Yes. What is my core objective? So one is your core objective. Is it to provide safe drinking water to the community as a ripple effect for your donor, your funder, name it? They're saying we want to provide safe drinking water in East Africa. So for them, the core objective is not making profit. It's for them is to see actually delivering the project life cycle of the water to the people. Right. So there are different things that you look at in terms of, and then two, you want to look at, understand the competition landscape, because some brands come because someone has seen a very nice brand and they think if I do it in Uganda it can actually do it. But what is the landscape in Uganda? You don't want to have where you introduce a brand today and then before 1 year or 2 years after investment the brand dies. So the landscape also determines. Then of course lastly is your resources. It's very key, because some brands require they're called high cost brand, but of course over time they become low cost. So initial investment looks at, take an example, our model when you look at the money we as Jibco invest into our partners is high and compared to what they give us. But what will happen is we will look at a ripple effect of what over time that we see how to recover it on a smaller proportion. So
maybe basing on driving it on a low key levels. So and here we actually bring in a team to actually give us more when it comes to delivery business has actually had a number of challenges when it comes to Africa, in African countries. Not the like of the scenarios that we see in the European countries where you would see someone ordering something coming in defect. But it has actually started picking up of late, maybe the last 3 years here in Uganda, or even in Africa. How have you found this delivery business? Because I guess it is what you came into, you had that in mind as your set goal as Jibu Uganda. Now, how does delivery destroy this brand, and how has delivery actually built this brand?
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, the reason why Jibu is doing delivery in all markets by now is because of Uganda. It used to be the Ugandan market used to demand it and say, for us, we like your water, we like your bottle, bring it to my home and I'll buy. So we started to learn home delivery here in UG, like some 4 or 5 years back. It's I've never run operations in Germany, in Germany or in Europe, so I can't tell you for sure like what's the difference. But I mean, I think that there are some certain challenges, as in like just like of course infrastructure, like the lack of sort of addresses that are very clear to say like road X, house number Y, but nevertheless it doesn't matter, because you don't have to compare things that are not comparable, right? Because like I think delivery actually works very, very efficient in Uganda and in all African countries that I know, because of the like number of people that you have that offer delivery services, boda bodas, tuk-tuks, and people who are actually willing, like have an entrepreneurial zeal to say, okay, I'm willing to sign up for a delivery service, if it is with Jibu or with an online platform or whatever. Now, what makes it difficult is like, how do you handle the scale, right? You need technology, and therefore you need people who know how to use the applications and they have like a tech savviness. For us, it is easier because again, we are decentralized, right? I have my 20 entrepreneurs in Kampala who all manage their delivery fleet, exactly. So my Tinder franchisee, he has 5 guys. My Chireka franchisee has two guys, right? So all of them sort of, they manage like their mini fleet within their neighborhood, which makes it easy for us. I don't know how the big ones are doing it, that have like centralized operations and are doing hundreds of boda bodas every day. But it is very efficient, I believe, but it is different. It is like less technology based than probably in other markets. But what it does, it creates loyalty. If you deliver to your customers, they get used to it immediately. Once you bring in the service, they always want it. All they want is they have the phone number of the guy who delivers, and this is for them the face of the company. If my water is empty, I call this man and I want my water. So when you talk about delivery, don't only think about the challenge of moving goods from A to B, but also think about how do your riders represent you, right? It doesn't matter.
They're representing your brand.
Exactly.
So you have to get someone who's actually part of the brand.
Exactly.
And put it in that way. And so, Mr. Mboa, that is actually where I want to also bring you to this. What are those things that normally destroy brands? Because we've seen some brands that come up and they will not last for more than 5 years or 10. And what are those key things that normally lead to the break, to the collapse of these brands that any business entity should actually look at and to safeguard their brand?
Thank you, Ssonko. One, as brands, is a brand lives through people. A brand talks. We are on smart TV, but there's a brand, person who talks for it in terms of representation and availability. So what the most key thing that kills and breaks brand is diverting from the brand identity, because the first thing, remember, identity is how you present yourself. So the moment you diverge from the brand identity, the brand says smart TV will always be available on the digital landscape. It will be available in analog. It will be available on online, everything. So the moment you start saying, we can no longer do it, now the brand starts to do what? To shrink. And then 2 is dividing it from your core market target. So you look at what is your core target market as you. I'm going to use smart TV. What is your core market? If your core market is business, stick to business. The moment you start saying, let's start doing now entertainment, example entertainment, you know what's going to happen? Team will be like, let me change to another station. These guys are what? They're diverting from, I know I'm here for what? Business. And then the guy is bringing what? Entertainment. So Suji is so and so jump into someone is what? So what happens? Your brand starts to take what? A dive.
It's actually changing course. People know it before.
And then you start changing, and they're like, but we believe in this brand for this, but now it's doing something what? and of course the quality of your product is very key. Quality is very key, because for consumers quality is very key, because quality brings in terms of authenticity of your communication, brings in terms of what is the service level, because quality can either be in service delivery or can be in the product itself. The moment you start now tampering with the quality by cutting corners, that's where you get to be like, no, this can't happen. I can't deal with this brand anymore. I'm giving up on it. And then how reliable is your product? If you say your product is 20 liters, humans, we always like to experiment. Some Uganda will tell you told me this bottle is 20 liters, but at home I tried it is 5 liters.
And he tries to
and that is it. And that is it. And
you told them it is already 20.
Yes, so that is where you start taking a dive. So we have to be very, very sensitive. There are times some entrepreneurs tend to run away from investing into a brand to have an identity, and of course having a person to actually represent it through different avenues, and of course to guide it in terms of placement, communication, because a brand has a communication guide to say our brand will communicate in this tone of language and this speech. So imagine now you start saying the invisible brand, the person supposed to speak for it changes the tone. Now we are saying our brand is a challenger brand, okay. But then someone says, we're no longer a challenger brand. Challenger is you're changing the status quo. So when someone says, we're going to be, how do they call it, the laid back brand, where you just wait, you just follow back, you follow whoever is going, you take the what? Yeah. You start following the body, lower the board. So that means you're diverting it from your core. So, and then lastly is at times some brands die because of course, support. Also ourselves internally, we can kill a brand. Because if a brand requires to be digitally present, and then as we say, we can't invest in this thing. You can actually kill your own brand. And then also your people, your core team. Because what happens is me and team can be at back office, but there is a guy who rides the tuk-tuk from morning and actually represents the brand on ground. That person. So when that person messes up, it ripples back to what?
To you.
Then team gets migraines, I get migraines. Why is this thing taking a dive? Because of one person. So people is very key in terms of your entire chain. And then because what happens, people forget, they think the customer is one person who can fire everyone, but the customer talks to the people. So those two, you must strike a balance the two, the customer and your people.
All right. One business owner once told me that the customer is always right. Regardless, if you're into a service, if you're into a service business, you definitely agree that even if he's in wrong, but his view is more better than yours. So his opinion will actually give you what you'll have to change. Regardless of whether he's actually criticizing you for something wrong, you have to agree with them. And now, when it comes to branding, to any of you have definitely seen one of the cases as why most of the brands are actually dying off in Uganda. Someone starts up a brand, it doesn't even last for 3 years. Just because you're changing the core, because you're now following what other people are actually doing. You feel like now you want to compete favorably, but then forgetting that why you started up this kind of business was to actually go into your own lane. Now, let's before we do give our final assessments, I want to understand this in terms of water. When someone actually orders for water, I want to follow up on this recycling process of these particular bottles. How do you get these bottles? And I want to follow this procedure where someone orders for water, like for starters, and then you come, you deliver the bottle. So the time you're doing another delivery, do you return with the empty bottles, or you just delivering direct with new bottles, or do they remain with the first bottles they had?
So, first of all, for us, recycling is great, right? Reuse is better. So for us, we say we rather reuse, so we don't have to recycle. Because when you talk about recycling, there are always rates, you have to put in energy again, etc. So for us, we say basically once you do your initial purchase, you're part of the Jibo fraternity, right? But you're not entitled to a particular bottle. So what you do as a customer, your bottle is empty, you order for a new one, you get a new one.
Then you take
we take back the empty one. Okay. We bring it back to our factories. Obviously, we clean it and sanitize it, everything, refill it again with new water, seal it again, and it's again ready for distribution and consumption. So that is how we do it, to make sure every bottle that we put into circulation makes it for 50 or 70 or sometimes 20 refills. It depends, right? It depends if the boda driver has drops it maybe, then it breaks quicker than with some customers that take very good care of it. But at the end of the day, we as Jibu, this is our float. So the customer doesn't have to care about a bottle breaking, because unless it's negligence, I guess, right? But like sort of the normal wear and tear, that is our problem to say, okay, now this bottle has been in circulation for some time, it's not clean anymore, or it's too scratchy or whatever. We take it out, the franchisee brings in a new bottle. So that all you do, you wait for the delivery man, or you go to the retail shop and bring your empty, take a new one.
All right. And I'm going to bring in more who is part into the sales and marketing. How have the sales affected? How have you been affected by these prevailing 2 years that we've had in terms of for fast water delivery? How have people been responding now to this? Have you had increase in number because people are actually home now, or have you had some decline in it?
Thank you, Ssonko. In terms of the pandemic, of course, no one saw the pandemic coming. But I won't say that we took a dive, but as a business, being that water is a necessity, so with or without water is what is requirement. So we saw trends changing, where actually people are paying attention to, instead of boiling water, that people went into real analytics. How much does it cost me to actually boil 20 liters of water at home? Imagine, remember you're all home, you're like 10 people in the house, used to be at 2 or 3 at a time, so now you're 10 people in the house. For do analytics to understand that how much power do we use. So when I could do that against the cost of just buying 120 liter for us to share, people actually like, I rather stop spending on what? On this, on boiling water. And then to the time, so we saw that it's just changed. Then to our model being that we are residential, so actually distribution, people were able to take up a product and start trying it. But okay, we've actually been buying the 1.5, the 2.5 liters on the market. We buy like 10 of them, you're spending close to 10,000. Ideally to us, you're spending like 6,000, 7,000 at most. Mm-hmm. So you see people are striking a balance. The pandemic showed people to do what they call ratio of money. And then of course, value for money. They start doing real analytics. This 10K I have, how do I spend it wisely? Okay. So that I can survive, because you don't know how long it's going to take. Yes.
What is this budget? Your small money.
Your small money. Yes, of course. Well, that's how we're about to remain afloat. Of course, we need to achieve a lot as we want to, but of course, as a business, where we deliver the key objective, our key driver from the beginning of the business inception. So we still remain to deliver the product, and of course, make our entrepreneurs thrive, and of course, still push the product across. But of course, it has done ups and downs, of course, with the brand itself remaining thriving, and of course executing its touch points. The brand is missing out on touch points, because brands live through execution of touch points, activations, all those things. So the brand can't do the things, but of course it still does the other part of availing the product. The key product, the key item for the brand is to be available, that when the consumer trickles their mind to purchasing the product, I can get it, even if it can't fully express itself, but of course it remains relevant.
All right, now I think I'm going to give my guests 1 minute each to give their final assessment when it comes to this. But I, for one, have just realized one thing, that in branding, like the example that Tim gave, it is all about you as a person. It is you coming up with, when he actually gave an example, if you're going to look for a partner in marriage. So your personality is your brand. Now, what you're having as the logo and the marketing is what you're going to look for to actually put on table. And now your final assessment, Steve, before we do break off now.
Thank you very much. So I think finally the advice that I can give to every business person is to say, like, identify your brand very well. Don't look at the competition. Don't look at yourself, and look at the customers, and look at the sort of the gap that you want to fill, and always stay loyal to it. However difficult it might be, if you believe into it and you know it's the right thing, you have to stay course. Building a brand means working on a long-term trajectory, right? Making sales, doing marketing is all very short-term. So always have the long-term vision in mind. Stay loyal to it, and make sure, you stay strong, however difficult life might be, because you never know what is coming next. We don't know which COVID-20 is just around the corner, and you can't plan for those things. But those loyalty, those persistence is very important.
No, I should have made COVID-19 sound. All right, your final assessment.
Thank you very much for first of all hosting us. So my final assessment is to our dear entrepreneurs, our dear investors, everyone is my big takeout is do not compromise short term for long term. Meaning that short term, meaning that you want to sell now, but then
you get the profits.
Meaning is you're forgetting your big long term ambition you set out to do for your brand.
Okay.
Solution you're providing, go with it. Like there are always ups and downs in any journey. So allow your brand to go through those ups and downs. As you're picking insights, you're picking lessons, then polish them and stay on course. Don't divert from your objective. And of course, the brand will thrive and of course will continue growing. And of course, your revenue you're looking out for will come in the later. Time X, it will come. And then you won't even mind actually going up the hill at some point. You'll just be flourishing and enjoying your business as you set out to do. Yeah.
Right. Now, that is what we had today for you in the conversation, the pending branding in business and what you definitely need to do to keep your brand. Branding actually safeguards your business entity. I've seen a number of businesses in Uganda that have actually stayed for some time, but then others have actually failed because you find out you look for a brand that you knew when you're still young, and then it has actually changed the new name, and then you get that you're tired of actually following up to it. So just stay on course with your brand. It's actually going to help your business, and actually you look at the long term, like our guests today have actually said. Now today, we leave it up to that. Surely we shall actually have more conversation with these two gentlemen regarding Jibu and also water business in regards to that, and also maybe any other issue concerning business here on Smart 24 TV. Now, Smart Means Business starts, and now I'm Jorram Paul Ssonko, and goodbye for now.